Lesson 61 homework. Starting with number 1, I've written out what we're doing here. Number 1, we're going to simplify the square root of 12. And the way I do this is I break up this 12 as 3 times 4, and then 4 is 2 times 2. The square root of 2 times 2 is 2, so I circle that. And the 3 I can't take out from the radical, it's stuck in there. The square root of 2 times 2 is 2, or the square root of 4 is 2. So that gets to come out, and the 3 stays in. I'll draw that 3 a little bit better. And there's your answer, 2 square root of 3 for number 1. For number 2, we're doing the same kind of idea, square root of 200. We're simplifying this. 200 is 2 times 100, and 100 is 10 times 10. I don't need to factor any more here because I can already see I've got the square root of 100 is 10. So I'm going to be able to pull a 10 out of here, and the 2 is left over. 10 square root of 2 is a simplified form of square root of 200. Number 5. Number 5, what does FOIL stand for in the term FOIL method? So FOIL stands for first, outer, inner or inside, and last. Now we go to number 6. And number 6, there we go. A basketball court is 144x over x plus 3 feet long. Let's just draw this. So we're going to say this is 144x over x plus 3 feet long, and 432 over x plus 3 feet wide. And a team runs laps around the court. How far have they run after one lap? So the team, maybe they start right here, they go all the way around the court one time. So really what we're looking for here, this distance, is the perimeter. The perimeter is all of the sides added up. Now for this looks like kind of a mess. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take one side, x plus 3, plus the other side, which is 432 over x plus 3. And there are a bunch of ways you can go about doing this number 6 here. You could take this and multiply it by 2. You could take each of these individually and multiply it by 2. The way I'm going to do this is I'm going to put these guys together like this, and I'm going to multiply the whole thing by 2 when I'm done. And you'll see why in a second. It's mostly because these numbers are kind of crazy, and I'm going to do a little factoring here, and I think it's going to be easier to take care of this 2 after I've taken care of what's inside of here. So I am going to, since I have a common denominator here, I am going to put 144x plus 432 over x plus 3. And all of this is going to be multiplied by 2 when I'm all done. Now, I know that 144 times 3 is 432 because I'm just super smart. Now, when I factor this, I'm going to have 2 times 144 times x plus 3 over x plus 3. And if I'm going to do this correctly here, I should use brackets. Now, this x plus 3 and this x plus 3, when I divide x plus 3 divided by x plus 3, that gives me 1. So I can just cross that off. 2 times 144 is 288 feet. So this guy is 288 feet all the way around. That's how far that this team has run around the basketball court. Number 8. A rectangular picture is twice as long as it is wide. I've got a rectangular picture. It's twice as long as it is wide. And so if it's this, one of these is x and one of these is 2x, right? Twice as long as it is wide. Oh, I should move that up. Twice as long as it is wide. Now, we could find the area of this here, but we're not done yet. The picture has a 4-inch wide mat around the picture. So I'm going to have to draw a 4-inch wide mat around this picture. Now this is 4 inches here, and 4 inches here, 4 inches on the top, and 4 inches on the bottom. All the way around, I've got 4-inch wide mat. Let x represent the picture's width, so that's this guy right here, this is the x. Which product gives the answer here for the area of a picture of the mat? So what we have here, we've got this multiple choice here for number 8, but I'm not going to give you all the choices. They're in your book. I'm just going to write out the area. The area, remember, of a rectangle is length times width. And so I've got x is going to be my width, x plus 8. The 8 comes from 4 plus another 4, so that whole width is x plus 8. And this whole length is going to be 2x plus 8. So my area is x plus 8 times 2x plus 8. And it doesn't ask you to FOIL this out or anything. This is the answer here in your book. This is answer C. Although for C they write it this way, 2x plus 8 times x plus 8. So that's the way they have it in the book. Next we've got number 10. Number 10 is use substitution to solve. 2x minus 3y equals 3 and x equals 4y minus 11. So I'm going to use substitution to solve. They have already given me what x equals, so I'm just going to take this mess and plug it in for x. So I've got 2 times 4y minus 11 minus 3y equals 3. I've taken my value for x and I plugged in for x in my other equation here. And now I'm just going to solve for y. I'm going to distribute my 2 there. That gives me 8y minus 22 minus 3y equals 3. I'm going to combine my like terms here. 8y and negative 3y is 5y. And I'm also going to add 22 to both sides. 3 plus 22 is 25. And I've taken care of all of that business. Now I just divide both sides by 5 in order to get y all by itself. Y equals 5. Now I'm not done yet. I only have my y value and I don't have my x value yet. Here's my solution. I need to find my x value. I'm going to plug 5 back into either of these equations and solve for x. This one's going to be the easiest one here, the one on the bottom. Y is 5 minus 11. 4 times 5 minus 11. X equals 20 minus 11. X equals 9. My solution is 9, 5. So these two lines cross at that point where x is 9 and y is 5. Moving on to number 12a. So the following data shows attendance of 7 home games for a high school football team. Alright, here are our attendance numbers. 5, 8, 4, 6, 6,023, 5,921, 7,244, 6,832, 6496, and 7012. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, now A is asking the mean attendance for the data set. What we do here is we just add all these together. So the mean is adding everything up, dividing by that many numbers, and that's our mean. So I've got 5846 plus 6023 plus 5921 plus 7244 plus 6832 plus 6496 plus 7012. That gives me, when I add those all together, that gives me 45374, and I'm dividing that by 7, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Divided by 7. That gives me 6,482 people. So that's A. And B says, what if we have this game was almost filled to capacity, and we add this 11,994 to our data set here, and we're going to see how does that change the mean of our data. So we're just going to add this to our, when we added these 7 together, we got this. Let's add one more, and then we'll divide by 8 and see what happens. So we're just going to add that to the 45,374, and then we'll just divide that mess by 8 instead of by 7 before. So I'm going to take that 45,374, add 11,994, and that gives me 57368 over 8, which gives me now 7,171. So we adding this number here, the question is, how does this outlier affect the mean of the data? So here's the outlier that we're talking about here. How does it affect the mean? It raised the mean to 7,171. So that's number 12, A and B. Moving on to number 13. Number 13, we're going to simplify. I've got 4b minus 3 squared. Now you might know a special formula here when you have a binomial that you square, or you might just use FOIL, or you might use distribution method. Either way, I'm going to use FOIL here for this one, so I just put 4b minus 3 times 4b minus 3, and I do my first here, so 4b times 4b is 16b squared, and then I do my outer. 4b times negative 3 is negative 12b, and then my inner, negative 3 times 4b is negative 12b, and then my last is negative 3 times negative 3, which is positive 9. And then I combine my like terms, which I have right here in the middle, 16b squared minus 24b plus 9. And I'll circle that guy, and that's all done. Number 14 now. For number 14, we have negative 2x plus 5 squared. For this one, we could use the same method that we just used, or we could use distribution method, and that's the way I'm going to do it, just to, you know, do one way and one the other way. So I'm going to take negative 2x and I'm going to multiply it by negative 2x plus 5 times negative 2x plus 5. So either way is going to give us the same answer, whether we use FOIL or this method, or if you remember the special formula for squaring binomials. I'm going to distribute here, I'm going to distribute here. Negative 2x times negative 2x is positive 4x squared. Negative 2x times 5 is negative 10x. 5 times negative 2x, negative 10x. 5 times 5 is 25. I'm going to take my like terms and add those together. 4x squared minus 20x plus 25. And that is my answer for number 14. Number 15. A school fundraiser. Students charge $10 to wash a car. All right, $10 for a car. And they charge $20 for an SUV. They make, their total is $1,700 for washing 105 vehicles. Alright, that says vehicles, just trust me. How about that? How many of each kind did they wash? Okay, so I'm going to first name my variables. I'm going to say my car is X and my SUV is Y. You could call it C and S. You could name it whatever you want. I'm just going to use X and Y because those are easy. That's the number of cars and the number of SUVs. So if I take my number of cars, which is X, and I add my number of SUVs to it, which is Y, then I'm going to get 105 total vehicles. Now if I take $10 times the number of cars, that's how much I earn for how many cars I've washed. $20 times Y, which is how many SUVs I've washed, that's going to get me how much money I made for the cars, how much money I made with the SUVs, and when I add those together, that's going to get me my total number of dollars that I've earned here. Now at this point, you can use any method you want to find. You could use substitution or elimination or whatever method you've learned. You could graph these if you wanted and try to figure out where X and Y meet. We need to find the place where these two lines meet. So we need the solution of these two lines. I'm going to use the I'm going to use the substitution method here. I'm going to subtract y from both sides of this one here on top, and then I'm going to substitute my x value here. So I'm going to subtract y from both sides, and that gives me x equals negative y plus 105. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to plug it in right there for my x value. 10 times negative y minus 105 plus 20y equals 1,700. Distribute my 10, negative 10y minus 1,050 plus 20y equals 1,700. I'm going to combine my like terms and I'm going to add my 1050 to both sides. My like terms here, that negative 10y and positive 20y gives me 10y equals, these guys go away, and I end up here with $2,750. Divide both sides by 10, and that gives me y equals 275. Now y, remember, is our SUVs here. Now something bad happened. I did something wrong, I think. Oh, this is how much money I made on these SUVs. Is that what happened? 60. Okay. here's where I messed up. Look, you're welcome. I gave you a good chance to see what I did wrong. Somehow I made this plus into a minus. It should be plus, plus. Look, and I knew when I got down here that I should have subtracted. I just knew it. Okay, so here's what I did wrong. You're welcome. This should be plus here. When I subtracted y from both sides, I have negative y plus 105. Because that 105 stays positive there. So here's plus, plus. And then when I get down, so everything is correct here, except for when I get down right here, I should have 10 times 105, which is positive 1050. And so I am going to need to subtract 1050 from both sides. I still have 10y, and I still am going to divide both sides by 10, but this time I'm going to do the accurate calculation over here. I knew that this was supposed to be 650 right here. 1700 minus 1050, that gives me 650 divided by 10, y equals 65. Then that is the right answer for how many SUVs. Y is SUVs. So I've got 65 SUVs. But this is also asking me for how many cars. Now at this point you could plug this 65 back in here for the SUVs if you wanted to do that, or you know you have 105 vehicles total, you could just go 105 minus 65 and that gives you 40, right? That gives me 40 cars. So you could do that. You could plug this 65 back in for y. X plus 65 equals 105. Subtract 65 from both sides and you get x equals 40. Either way, you've got 65 SUVs, 40 cars. You got a nice little mistake here that we got to fix. And now we are on to number 16. Whew. Use these points. Alright, here are the points. 1, 3 and 2, 8. And we're going to answer the problems below. Find the slope of the line that passes through the points. So first, for A, we're going to find the slope. Remember, the slope formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I'm going to label my points first, x1, y1, x2, y2, and then I'm going to use this formula here to find my slope. y2 is 8 minus y1, which is 3, over x2 which is 2, minus x1 which is 1. 8 minus 3 is 5, 2 minus 1 is 1. My slope is 5. And so I'm going to say m equals 5. There's my slope. Now for B here, it says graph the line. So that's A. A is 5. B here, I'm going to graph this line. And the way I'm going to graph this line, I'm going to find these points. 1, 1, 2, 3. There's that 1 point, 1, 3. And then 2, 8. There's 2. And then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 3, 8. Sorry, 2, 8. 1, 3, and 2, 8. Now I can just draw a line right here. And I've graphed this line. All you need are 2 points for a line. So that is acceptable, and let's continue going. Here's letter C here. Write an equation of the line in point slope form. Okay, so point slope form is y minus y1 equals the slope times x minus x1. Alright, and let's just use this point here. Y minus 3 equals my slope, which is 5, times x minus 1. Distribute this 5. Y minus 3 equals 5x minus 5. I'm going to add 3 to both sides. Y equals 5x minus 2. So there's the equation that they've asked for. And you can see if we wanted to keep graphing this, we could go down to 0, 2, 0, negative 2, that's where my y-intercept is. That's an even better line here because we go through the y-axis. And then D, write the equation of the line in slope-intercept form. Oops, sorry. Here is the point-slope form. And I just automatically went to the slope-intercept form because I like slope-intercept way better than point-slope. And so that is D right there. We took care of C and D both together. And then E, fill in the missing coordinate of the points. Okay, so for E, we have a point that is x, negative 3, and we have another point here that is negative 2, sorry, and y. And we need to find out what x equals in this instance here, and we want to find out what y equals in this instance here. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in this value for y, I'm going to plug in this value for x, and find out what y equals and find out what x equals. And I'm going to use my slope-intercept form here to do it. Y equals my x value, oops, I need my slope here, sorry, 5x minus 2. I'm going to plug negative 3 in for y. And then I'm going to solve for x. Oh, I make sure I got this on the camera here. Negative 3 equals 5x plus 2, minus 2. Wow, I'm falling apart. I'm going to add 2 to both sides to get 5x by itself. That gives me negative 1 equals 5x. Divide both sides by 5. And now x equals negative 1/5. So when y is negative 3, x is negative 1/5. Now let's do the same thing here, but we're going to find what y is when x is negative 2. Y equals 5 times my x value, which is negative 2, and then minus 2. So I've taken my slope-intercept form, and I've put that right here. I plugged in negative 2 for my x value. Negative 2 times 5 is 10. Y equals negative 10 minus 2. Y equals negative 12. And so that is your answer for E there. Next we're going to look at, let's see, we got through 16. Now let's look at number 17. And yeah, we should be able to fit that down here. For number 17, an object weight on the moon varies directly with its weight on Earth. So it's in proportion, they're proportional. A 60-pound dog would weigh 9 pounds on the moon. So let's just write that out here. 60 pounds on Earth, LB is pounds, right? Is 9 pounds on the moon. So here's the Earth, and here's the moon. Now, how much would a 25-pound dog weigh on the moon? So I'm going to set up this proportion. I'm going to put the 25 on the top because this is the Earth I'm going to put on the top, the moon I'm going to put on the bottom. Lots of ways you can set up this proportion, but here's the one I'm going to use, and I get to choose because I'm the one doing the video. I put an X right here, and then I am just going to cross multiply. 60 times x is 60x equals 9 times 25. I should be able to just, oh, it's 175, isn't it? But let me just check. 9 times 25, 225. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Of course it's 225. Oops. 225. 175 would be multiplied by 7. Let's divide both sides by 60 now to get x all alone. And 225 divided by 60 is going to get me 3.75 pounds. 3.75 pounds. That is number 17. Let's move on to number 20.